Welcome to Misty Mountains Holistic Therapy YouTube channel. Today, I would like to talk about triggers because everybody's got them. Everybody's got triggers. Everybody's got the things that, push their buttons, so to speak. And the problem with these, they give your power away. They are power-sucking things. Well, leave you feeling powerless. They leave you feeling out of control and in the hands of another person. And that's a pretty awful feeling, to be honest. As somebody who has had many triggers, especially anger triggers, over the years, I can speak from my experiences when I say how disempowering and how awful it feels to, especially with a loved one, have them saying and doing things that you feel like they know is going to get that rise out of you. They know you're going to lose it or blow up or get angry or do something you regret or do something stupid. And so I'm going to give you some steps to dissolve these triggers and take back your personal power. Because oftentimes these things are the things that come up in arguments, they come up in relationships, and they can be the most detrimental things in the moment because, again, it can lead to you doing things that you regret and saying things that you regret. And there's nothing worse than that. So how do we get rid of this? How do we stop being so triggered? How do we stop being, how do we stop giving our power away? So the number one thing to do is to forgive yourself of your past wrongdoings. Forgive past you. The things that you may have done in the past, things that you used to say in the past, the things that you feel bad about, forgive yourself. And this probably sounds really unrelated and really silly and stuff like that, but think about it. More often than not, people are bringing up things from your past and throwing them in your face. Or they're saying things that pertain to a time of your past that still resonates inside of you, that brings up a hurt feeling, or an embarrassed feeling, or an angry feeling, or a sad feeling, or an anxious feeling. It's things from your past that people, that's what they're triggering. That's what they're shining that little light on. Something that you are still attached to in some way that is triggering that feeling in the present moment. It's triggering an event similar to that situation. It's triggering an event with a feeling from your past and bringing that into your now that you are not free from. It still holds power over you. So in order to move past these triggers, you have to 100% take responsibility for yourself, for the things you've done, for the things you've said, and forgive yourself for anything and everything that wasn't good or didn't feel good. Because there really is no good or bad, it's just things that we learn from. But if there's things that don't feel good from your past, it's time to release them. And the only way to do that is to fully embody it, take responsibility, and forgive. Easier said than done, Lindsay, I know. Sometimes it helps to have somebody with you processing these things to bring these things up. But in those moments is the most powerful time to process through those things. In the moment that you've been triggered, that is the most power you have to look inward and overcome or dissipate whatever that attachment to that feeling, that emotion, or that memory, or that scenario, to dissipate that connection into your present, from your present moment. So that's number one. That's the number one step. The number two thing you can do is have that realization of the power transfer and take it back in that moment. If you find yourself thinking in your head, you're making me do this, or you're making me say this, or how dare you say that, you know that hurts me, you know that triggers me, you know that blah blah blah, me. Take back in that moment that feeling of you're making me blank, you're making me do this thing, and ask yourself, what's making them do what they're doing? Because more often than not, people are just acting out of fear. They're acting out of their own traumas, you know? So the best thing for me to do in that situation, and for you too, is to repeat back the question to the person that has asked. Whatever triggering statement or question that has been asked, repeat it back to them. And just say, you know, let me make sure I'm hearing this correct. You want to know why. Sometimes it gives people an opportunity to look inwards and think about the question that they've asked and why they've asked it. And it might give them a moment to dig a little deeper and give you a little bit more insight behind what it is that they actually want to talk about. Sometimes what they say is just like the skin of what's really going on in their mind. And if we automatically react to that in a negative way, then you're just going to jump from skin to skin to skin. It's going to stay surface level. Every little dumb thing you say and they say back and forth is just going to be surface level, surface level, surface level. Nothing is going to get to the root of anything. And you're just going to keep triggering each other back and forth. Trigger, trigger, trigger. You said this, you said that, I said this, they said that, you did that first, blah, blah, blah. There goes your argument. So, if you feel triggered by a question, if you feel triggered by a statement, the first thing you do is notice that triggered feeling, like, ooh, how does that feel? Where's that coming from? I don't like that, you know. Feel it, it's okay. Notice it, it's okay. Even let it out and go. Sometimes that's what I have to do. If I feel that like well up inside me, it's like, oh, I could just like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to yell. I don't want to get upset. Just feel it. Allow your body to stretch. Breathe it out. Breathe 6 more times if you need to, because that will reset your nervous system. If you are triggered into a fight or flight response, your brain will stop working. Your logical thinking brain will shut down and you will go into what I call idiot mode. And idiot mode just reacts. Idiot mode just defends. Idiot mode just says whatever they can to just slap back as fast as you can. And no arguments and no discussions ever resolve in idiot mode. So, breathe. Breathe it out, blow it out. If you need to make a like, any kind of noise, anything to verbalize, because sometimes, you know, that whole statement of like bite your tongue, it's like, you know, that doesn't feel good. I gotta let something out. But you don't want to say something jerkish, because then you're falling into the trap of argument. So, let out a noise. Let out some air. Let out some steam, as they say. Let off some steam, Bennett. But just let something out that isn't rude and condescending, because that doesn't help. Once you've acknowledged your triggered feeling and you've diffused it a little bit, then you can ask these curious questions of, what do you mean by that? Or could you clarify that? Or I don't think I fully understand your question. Don't say it in a condescending way. Don't say it in a snippy way. Because again, you're just putting fluid on the fire. Just don't do that. It doesn't help. You don't have to be a smartass to try and, like, you know, if you see that they're acting in a way, if you see that the other person is acting in a way that is maybe in fight or flight mode, don't trigger them back on purpose. Don't probe them like that. Don't poke the bear. If you don't like it to be done to you, don't do it to them. It doesn't make you better than them. If you learn how to diffuse yourself, don't turn around and start poking them back just to be like, oh, well, now I'm not triggered, but look at you all triggered. Ugh. Don't do that. That's silly. That's rude. Help them. Help them by asking questions. Help yourself by asking questions. It's important because confusion leads to chaos. If your brain is confused, it'll ask stupid things. Get clarity. Sometimes confusion leads your brain to just jump from thing to thing, trying to make sense of it. And that's why a lot of people can get anxious all of a sudden and get racing thoughts, because if you don't understand what was said or what was asked, then your brain's just going to jump around, be like trying to make sense of it. And it's just going to go through the file of memories and things, trying to make sense of it, trying to attach this statement or question to as many different past memories as it can to make sense of it. That's how your brain will work. So just, if it doesn't make sense, it's okay. I noticed that we're often conditioned to feel like we have to know the answer to everything, and if you don't know, then someone's going to call you out for being stupid. At least that's what they teach in school these days, hence the homeschooling, that if you don't know the answer, you'll probably be made fun of, and if you don't know the answer and you ask a question, then you might be labeled stupid. At least that's how I grew up. So I was always afraid to ask questions because people would be like, I can't believe you're asking that. Like, are you an idiot or something like that? So asking questions was kind of poo-pooed. But now we're growing up and we're realizing asking questions makes you smarter. Asking questions brings clarity. Asking questions brings confidence. So don't be afraid to just ask. Because if you just assume you know what they're talking about or what they're asking, and your brain does the jump from conclusion to conclusion trying to figure it out, and you land on the wrong one, then you've got yourself a problem. So do the breathe. Let off some steam. Gain some clarity. Ask a question. If there's confusion, ask another question. Ask for clarity. Be honest. Be genuine. If you realize at this point that there is no real question that they want an answer to, or the statements that they're making are genuinely just argumentative, and they really are just looking for an argument, or they really are just trying to get a rise out of you, excuse yourself from the conversation kindly, because you don't have to attend every argument that you were invited to. I think I read that on a mug once, or a napkin, I don't know. It's one of those things that's stuck in my mind. I'm like, oh, that's right. Just because somebody strikes something up doesn't mean you have to carry it on. It's okay to excuse yourself kindly. Thanks for a not so enlightening conversation. I'm gonna go now. That's okay. That's okay. But in the event that you're with a loved one and they are just lashing out because they've got a lot of feelings, they're in fight or flight mode, they're confused about something, they really genuinely do need help, but they don't know how to ask for it, and their way of getting attention brought onto a certain subject is by lashing out, asking those questions will help them gain some clarity within themselves. You don't have to solve the problem, but just asking them those questions to, diffuse and help them maybe not be so triggered by a situation is a really nice thing to do. It can be really tough with loved ones if they're saying and doing things that really are genuinely hurtful. But again, when you've honest to goodness forgiven yourself for past mistakes, and you honestly truly feel good about you and what you're doing, and it's easier to brush these kind of things off and be like, I don't need to accept these. You can put the focus back on them and be like, I can see that you're hurting, and that's why you're lashing out, instead of making it about us. You see what I'm getting at here? It's like sometimes we can make everything about them. Sometimes we can make everything about us. Either way, it's just a narrow-minded perspective. And it stops us from seeing the really big picture. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about with the whole being triggered, especially with kids around, if you are finding yourself being triggered in front of your kids, and you may have had some reactions or words that you're not proud of in front of them, when you're doing your reaction and your practices, say out loud what you're doing around your kids so that they can actually see what growth looks like and they can do these things themselves. Don't just tell them what to do in a moment. Like if they're having some issues, don't just walk up and just start telling them what to do. Act it out. Act it out. Say what you're feeling. Say what you're going to do to remedy it. Say what you're doing through the processes of breathing and restructuring your thoughts or your words. You know, go through these things with them because it really does help them. Kids don't learn from what we tell them to do. They learn from watching us do what we do. So if you're going through a stage of growth in your life, if you are working through triggers and they see that, they're going to learn how to work through triggers themselves. Hopefully they don't have so many because they're kids, but you know, they might have learned triggers from you already. So if they're going to learn them from you, they can learn how to dissolve them from you too. And that's really powerful. Remember these things. Ask questions. Get clarity, because confusion leads to chaos. Realize when somebody is hurting themselves and that's why they're lashing out. It might not even be about you. It might be about what's going on inside of them. And when somebody feels like they're trying to just provoke you, it might be that they're just trying to take your power and exploit it. So to take your power back, realize how much power you have inside of you to forgive yourself and feel confident in who you are right now. Because if you are confident in your goodness, confident that you are source energy, you are an amazing spiritual being, and you have the power to let go of your past and to look and see in each moment why something is so upsetting, to forgive yourself, to forgive others, and to move past it. So that anytime somebody says or does something, it doesn't bring you back to that moment. You don't have to keep reliving past painful events over and over and over. That doesn't punish the people involved, it only punishes you. You can cast that burden upon Divine Spirit, and you can walk free of those burdens of carrying any past traumas, events, wrongdoings of yourself, of others. It is not your burden to carry. You can let those go. It is a choice. I know some people say, no, I can never let that go. I can never forgive them. It's like, it's not your job to punish people. There is a higher power always at work. Karma's real. Let it be. Besides, the power is greater. The greater power than us is so much better at, you know, the whole what goes around comes around. You got to trust that that is real. And if you're always thinking about your past and you're always being triggered into past events, it's a sign that you are not free and you can take the time to process these things. If this is something that you do need help with, send me a DM, contact me, or go to my website, mistymountainsholistictherapy.ca, and book a call with me. And we can see what we can do to help you dissolve these triggers